Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to HemingwayLand.com, your source for quality, affordable land in the state of New Mexico. New property going live on the website today in a pretty interesting little subdivision out in eastern New Mexico. It is one that we have recently listed some properties in, had some good fortune. The property sold pretty quickly and actually had a lot of interest from buyers, more interest than I was originally anticipating. So hopefully if you missed your opportunity the first time, you'll be able to pick this one up. With all that said, let's get to specifics. This is reference number SMNM-4404, located in San Miguel County, once again in eastern New Mexico. This is in the Rancho Lake Conchas subdivision, and it is a 5-acre piece of land, which we are offering for, as you saw up top, $7,000. Let's scroll back down, click on any one of these GPS coordinates down here, guys, and we'll be able to bring this property up on the Google Maps. Ba-boom. So first, let's pull back. Let's just talk about where this is within the state of New Mexico. I said eastern New Mexico earlier. It's in San Miguel County. We do not find ourselves buying a lot of property out here in the eastern portion of the state, in Union or Quay or Lea or Roosevelt counties. Generally, it's a lot harder to come upon things out there just because of the way a lot of those regions are subdivided. So we're not often in San Miguel County. That being said, this is a pretty interesting little subdivision out here. Located not too far from the Texas Panhandle border right here from the state line of New Mexico. Closest towns realistically are Las Vegas, New Mexico here, or Tucumcari over here in the east. If we zoom in on the map, I will point out to you guys that the subdivision, this Rancho Lake Conchas, gets its name from the nearby body of water, the nearby lake, which is very close by. But the subdivision itself occupies, I'm going to circle roughly the area on the map that it occupies. It is thousands and thousands of acres, and all of the lots within this subdivision are split up into 5-acre lots. What's interesting to me about this is that there is only one portion of this entire subdivision that I just circled on the map that has underground utilities, and hence that has people living out there. And it is this road right here, Magnolia Road, right off the 104. And actually, if you zoom in on the map, you can kind of see here's some homes right here, home, 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 people living in this area, another one, so on and so forth. And if you were to kind of pull back and scan the entirety of the subdivision that I was circling earlier, you will not find a concentration of homes even that dense, even that clustered within other portions of the sub, again, because of these underground utilities that run up and down in Magnolia. It should be noted, by the way, the property sits very close to the 104, and out here the 104 is the primary road you're taking to get pretty much from everywhere to everywhere else within this portion of the county. Of course, it scooches up here by Lake Conchas. If we zoom in here, you will see that Conchas is a little town here just on the side of the lake where there's a lot of homes, not a lot of industry, not a lot of businesses. You'll notice a volunteer fire department. There's a post office. There's, strangely enough, the Conchas State Park Airport. That's there, but not the location you're going to go to find your nearest Walmart or Target or something like that. I will point that out later in the video. Whatever the case, point is that the 104 is the route that snakes through this area, and the property itself sits none too far from the lake. If you're going, the way of the 104, if we right-click and measure distance, you could see it says 10 miles, but if we do one of these, hang on, guys, I'm getting super fancy with Google Maps these days. Then you could see it'd be roughly like 15 miles, roughly like a 15-minute drive. Not too hard to do, and of course, along the 104 here, you're probably doing 70 or 80 most that way, and I doubt there's many cops out there to police that sort of thing. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, additionally, there's actually a back route into the lake, which you can kind of see detailed here on the map. It is actually that Magnolia Road that I was pointing out earlier. If we zoom back in, you can see that if you do take this all the way up here, you can kind of backdoor your way into the lake. Magnolia meets a street called Paisano, and over here, supposedly, my photographer was out there, he claims that you can access the lake this way. Now, of course, the main entrance to the lake is on the other side, but, Anyway, there you go. All right, guys, so with all that said, let's talk about some property specifics. So, as noted, the property sits here along Magnolia. As you saw in the headline, as I've already discussed, it has utilities out there, power lines. It has underground utilities. This is a 5-acre chunk of land that sits right here. So, Magnolia road frontage here along its, I'm going to say, northwest side, and then road frontage here along its northeast side. And actually, if you want to get a better sense of the exact sort of size, shape, and location of this property, I direct you back down to our gallery here, where we have the helpful Google Earth overlay. There you go, guys, to give you a sense of where that begins and ends. Additionally, we also have the plat map for those of you who enjoy looking at plat maps. This is lot number 1 in Rancho Lake Conchas Unit 3. But as you can see, it does have legal road access, not only along Magnolia, but along that, what I'm calling the northeast boundary of the property. So it's a corner lot, I guess is what I'm trying to say here. It's a corner lot. And as noted earlier, you can see homes in the area. How about I actually go to the photo gallery? We'll talk a little bit more about this. So first off, we have photos from the lake out here. As you can see, it's a very pretty place. I believe my photographer was out there. It was shut down because of the coronavirus, but nonetheless, this is a place where, of course, you could go boating and fishing and just general relaxation out here. Utilized by the locals, and there's not too many locals out there, so I would anticipate a lot of peace and quiet. Anyway, as we continue through the photos, we will eventually get to property. Hey, there we go, property photos. So this is Magnolia Road, as noted, and this, of course, is the 104 that I was pointing out earlier. As you can see, when you come in here, you've got the aforementioned underground utilities, telecom lines out here. Additionally, a little cattle guard on your way in. No gate here. You've got some fencing, but no actual gate, so easy access. You don't have to worry about a key. You don't have to worry about a gate code. And then as we get out to the property, you will see that there are power lines lining up and down Magnolia. Here are some of the neighbors. This is what some of the nearby houses look like. We'll get back to that in a little bit. But as you can see, there are some people living out there. And, of course, once again, the underground utilities, the fiber optic cables, etc. More people, more land. By the by, guys, just want to mention, we had listed 2 lots out here earlier this year. And actually, I will show you on the map. The one lot was right here. Right here. It was like 3 lots over from this one. So this is one of these rare occasions in which the photos you're looking at are not property specific, but they're pretty damn close, number one. Number two, how much different is the land, 3 lots over, right? So that is actually one of the reasons why this property is priced about $1,000 less than the other 2 lots we sold. We sold 2 5-acre lots for $8,000 and $9,000 respectively. The $1,000 discount on this lot is simply because we didn't have to pay a photographer to drive out from Albuquerque to take pictures out here. Whatever the case, it's safe to say that what you're looking at on the properties out here that he photographed is going to be pretty similar to the subject property. Some nice mesa views off in the background, etc. And you can also kind of see the neighbors out there. Of course, 5 acres is a healthy chunk of land, so you're going to have a good deal of privacy, even though you're on a street where there are people living out there. It's probably actually nice in an area this private to probably have some neighbors, have some people you can rely on if things go pear-shaped in whatever way, the car breaks down or there's some sort of medical emergency, etc. Anyway, nice flat buildable piece of land. It's not too rocky, not too hilly, not the kind of thing you're going to have to fight with for months and months of excavating and landscaping and try and get some sort of spot where you could put down a mobile home or an RV or something like that, etc. But just a pretty nice flat piece of land out here. Anyway, guys, I will let you peruse the photo gallery on your own time. I do, however, just want to point out we've got some drone shots here at the bottom, which you'll probably want to take a look at, which highlight exactly what the area is like. As noted, the previous lot that we were selling was this one. So the one that we're selling now is this one down here. But as you can see, not wholly dissimilar from the land laid out here. Just want to point out here with the power lines, guys, if you come back on the map and you kind of eyeball this, if we zoom in here, what you will see is that the nearest power line is just sitting right here across Magnolia. That's the nearest one. Of course, it's running up and down Magnolia. And, of course, you've got a neighbor none too far away who's got power lines on his property. So likely not very difficult to get power extended to the subject property. Extended across the street, but likely not difficult to get power extended out to whatever structure you decide to eventually put on this property. Blah, blah, blah. Now, one quick thing I want to show you here, guys, is if you pull back on the map and get a sense of where this is, I mentioned that this is kind of, we'll say private. Other people might say remote. But I do want to point out to you, nearest groceries and supplies, you've got the town of Conchas over here. You're not going to find much there. There's like a mom and pop convenience store. If you're looking for a Walmart or something like that, if you're looking for, a more developed town, nearest one is going to be Tucumcari over here. If we right-click and measure distance, you can see Tucumcari in nearby Quay County, roughly about 40 minutes. something like that. And I believe the nearest Walmart is actually over here in Las Vegas, which, again, you're taking the 104 to both of these locations. That 104 goes everywhere through this county. But you can see that's roughly about 50 minutes, 50 miles in that direction. So groceries and supplies are not just down the street. It's a little bit of a drive, but probably an easy drive along this 104. And of course, it should be noted that it's not too difficult to access the I-40 from here. This itself, let's right-click and measure distance again, guys. This is, what, a 20-30 minute ride, something like that, to get down to the I-40. And from there, of course, you can traverse the state, crisscross, drive into nearby Texas, or make your way all the way over here to Albuquerque, etc. Point being, it's a little remote, it's a little private, but just want to make you guys aware of that. With all that said, when it comes to zoning out here and what you can build and what you can do, just want to point out to you, this is a region where, people will call and they'll ask questions, and I always say the easiest thing to do is just look at what the neighbors have built, and it's safe to assume that those structures would be permitted if you want to do something like that. And what we saw in the photo gallery were a lot of mobile homes with mobile and modular homes with permanent foundations, things like this. It's safe to assume that's the kind of thing that you can do out here very easily. As far as RVing in San Miguel County, you can't just RV indiscriminately on the land. Like most places in New Mexico, if you've got a building permit, you're good for 12 months or 24 months or however long that permit's extended, because they anticipate you'd have to live out of a secondary, something, domicile, vehicle domicile, whatever, while the primary is being built. So if you have a building permit, then you can live out of an RV. But I don't want to give you guys the impression that this is a place where you could just RV 12 months a year, you could go camping, etc. That being said, if you have any more specific questions about, non-conventional structures, quote unquote, like shipping container homes, things like that, highly encourage you to reach out to San Miguel County Planning and Zoning. We have their contact information up here. I will point out, guys, that we also have a PDF. This area is zoned A2 Rural Agricultural, and if you click on this, it'll bring up what we're calling the quote-unquote comprehensive zoning ordinance. It's a bit of a misnomer, but if you read through it here, it'll give you a little bit of a sense of what goes on out there as far as what you can do, what you can't do. That being said, hyper-specific questions, particularly about things like what kind of permits do I need for something like a shipping container or a tiny home. Always best to call the county and talk to them. That being said, most of the people we talk to here do always want to do things like mobile modular homes or RVs, and we've already sort of discussed that. By the by, guys, I also want to point out that here on the listing page we have some helpful links specifically to the Conchas Lake State Park. If you click on this, it'll give you a sense, aside from the photos that we've already provided of what that lake, what that area is like out there. If you want to do a little research, if you're a fisherman and you don't know what is indigenous to this lake, and you want to prepare yourself to go out there and go fishing, or you want to know what you're getting into, obviously they've got some excellent information here about the sort of camping, boating, hiking, fishing, all the sort of things that you can do out in this area. Etc. With all that said, guys, one or two more things I want to point out to you. If you're looking at this property as a place that you want to build, eventually and live out of, a couple things that you should be aware of. Number one, Morris San Miguel Electric Co-op is the company that handles the power out there, the utility provider out there. So if you want to talk to them in advance, we've got the link here to their website. You can call them up and you can discuss, practically speaking, I know you've got, power lines out there. I know there's underground utilities in the area. What do I have to know if I'm going to build? What does it cost to get hooked up to the grid? So on and so forth. It looks like there's a few neighbors out there who are actually relying on solar a little bit. I believe I saw some solar panels in some of those photos. But always good to reach out to the electric company and just kind of, get a sense, practically speaking, logistically speaking, what kind of costs, what kind of expenses am I going to have. Additionally, another link that we have here, which we have on all of our New Mexico pages, the Office of the New Mexico State Engineer. If you click on this, it's going to take you to a website where essentially all residential and commercial wells in the state are permitted through this government entity. So if you want water rights for the property, if you want to drill a well there, best to reach out to them about permit information, about what that's going to cost. As far as just getting the permits. When it comes to things like how deep is the water table depth, they have well logs on that website. It's never a hard and fast number. You can never point to a piece of earth and say, definitely 200 feet or whatever. So we always recommend to people, if you're going to do that sort of thing, if you're going to endeavor to have a well on the property, please reach out to vendors in the local area. They're going to know it certainly better than we will. A lot of people will call us and ask about water table depth, and, not a topic. It's not only a topic that I don't know much about, but it's a topic that I don't like to opine on with the little that I do know. So I always refer people to vendors. People who've drilled wells out there will be aware, Rancho Lake Conchas, that Magnolia Road, that's probably a very well-known road in that area. If you say, hey, I'm looking to build out there, what's the water table depth? How deep is it? How far down am I going to have to drill? What's the cost per foot of drilling? So on and so forth. People who do that for a living will be able to answer that. Anyway, with all that said, guys, I just want to point out, if this is a property that you are interested in buying, first thing you should know is that, one, we closed on this, as always, through one of our favorite title companies out there in New Mexico, Land and Title. So we did get title insurance on this property, which means we will be providing a warranty deed for it. So if this is something you are interested in, come up here, click the Buy Now button. It will take you, as always, to the secure checkout page. We will ask you for information for the eventual conveyance document, for the deed, legal name for deed, tax address, where's the county going to send the yearly tax bill, and then just some other information like we need, like phone number, email address, so we can get in contact with you. Come down here, agree to the terms of service, click the next button, and on the very next page you can enter credit or debit card information. For the record, guys, we are asking for $500 down at checkout. This is not a financing situation. This is not $500 this month and $500 every other month. We're looking for the full $7,000, $7,150 up front, but we like to get these transactions going with a mere $500 deposit because in our experience, in our observation, most people cannot charge $7,000 on one credit card. And generally when you get into these price ranges, people who can do it with credit cards usually want to separate it over 2 or 3 so they can get airline miles on one and some other bonus points on another one, or simply because there are limitations, daily charging limits. Blah, blah, blah. Whatever the case, the property is $7,000. We're asking for that $500 earnest money deposit. Once you put down the earnest money, we're going to get in contact with you within 24 hours. We're going to have a new conveyance document. We're going to have a whole bunch of supplemental docs for you to review and for you to approve. Once you make sure we've spelled your name right, your wife's name, your husband's name right on the deed, things like that, we'll finalize the transaction, get the rest of the money from you however you like to do it. Credit, debit card, wire transfer, Walmart money transfers, surprisingly easy, guys, etc. And then we will autograph, notarize, and mail that deed off to the San Miguel County Clerk's Office to be recorded into your name. For the record, guys, as with all the properties on this website, we own them. They are our company's properties. These are all for sale by owner. So once you give us the money, as far as we are concerned, you are the owner. Go out there, knock yourself out, have fun, start building, start camping, start surveying, do whatever you're going to do. But once you give us the money, it is yours to do with as you please. It takes a couple weeks for the county to get on the same page. Takes a couple weeks for the county to figure that out. But usually about 3 weeks from start to finish from the time you give us money until the time that recorded deed is in your hands and you have certifiable proof that you are in fact the owner of that fantastic corner lot out here in San Miguel County. Anyway, with all that said, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you in the next video.